The views and opinions expressed on this podcast, including discussions on news, politics, and current events, are solely those of the host and guests and are based on personal thoughts, experiences, and opinions. Nothing stated should be considered factual unless independently verified by the listener. This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only and does not provide financial, legal, medical, political, or life advice. Any actions discussed are what we would do personally, not recommendations for others. Listeners are encouraged to do their own research and consult qualified professionals before making any decisions.
It's like, man, it's like my closest friend. I feel like I know my whole life. You know what I mean?
Different type of brotherhood.
Yeah, exactly. I remember when I was in college, man, I was considering joining a fraternity. I don't know if you're in a fraternity.
I'm not. I thought about it too.
I was going to do, at the time I was being approached to do Kappa. Mm-hmm. And I was seriously interested, bro.
But trying to be in there.
But I came to
rolling.
But I came to faith when I was in high school. So and I was being discipled by some brothers, some really, really dope brothers early on in my faith. To the point that by the conversation of joining a fraternity came along, I was close to like, all right, I'm gonna do it. But then I started thinking, like, wait, everything they promote themselves to be, I already have. They can't give me something I don't already have. Like I already have a brotherhood. I just need a healthy local church in my area. Like I already have connections. And plus, the God of the universe is my father because of my union with Christ. So what connection are you going to give me that I can't already, you know what I mean? Like, so all of the things that they were kind of promoting is like, this is why it'll be dope. Like, minus wearing the letters and having the immediate like camaraderie because of that, I already got it. You know what I mean? Plus, I ain't got to take no wood.
You ever seen that movie Burning Sands?
Oh, crazy,
bro.
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah. And it's real, too. Like, a lot of that stuff is real. Yeah. I remember telling my boy, I said, he was like, I'm a Christian, too. I was like, I feel you, man, but Jesus took the wood for me, bro. He was like, I said, Jesus took the wood, I don't have to.
That's fine.
And he was like, oh, man, I never even considered that. Like, he said, yeah, Jesus went to the cross on my behalf.
Same way. I didn't think of
it.
Yeah.
Are you in?
Frat?
No.
Fraternity of life, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. I prayed on the way over here. I was like, Lord, I pray you just give me an opportunity to praise you, glorify you, and here we is. You know what I mean? Like,
amen.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I heard it here. I thought it was gonna be the same. Whatever.
Yeah.
This guy came in here. We just started chit chatting. We had a whole great conversation.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
man.
Let's go. We're back for another episode of the Forward Social Conversations, where we talk about a lot of things, but not everything, because everything don't need to be talked about. What's going on, fella?
What's happening?
What up?
Yeah. Ray, pull your mic closer to you a little bit, just a little bit. Yeah, there you go. You talk kind of low like this right here. What's going on, man? I got my brother, the white hat with the D on it. This is for Donovan.
That's right.
Got red in the middle with the suit, the blazer. Red Joseph Dags.
Fresh dip. Yeah.
Then got Maurice with the blue hat.
Hey, what's up, man?
Maurice the teacher.
Oh man. Here we go, man.
Preacher, the teacher. Hey,
I'm with it. I might steal it. Don't copyright it. It might be mine soon. So.
What's going on, man? What's going on? Y'all? Yeah, we're here, man. Hey, look, it's been a lot of talk about this India Arie and Young Miami. A lot of debate about the music, the hip hop music. And yeah, everybody have their takes on what's going, how the or where the music is going. And we're just here to get some opinions, to hear y'all opinions, just have a little conversation about it.
Yeah.
I want to know what y'all think about it. This is not no interview. I'm not interviewing nobody.
Yeah.
So let's go. I don't know who to start with. Who wants to start with? I know all three of y'all heard the song Spin That.
Yeah,
Spin That.
We heard it. Yeah. Can't not hear it.
Right.
So I think Maurice, let's start with you, man.
I was about to say age before beauty, man. We the teacher, man. Hey. So yeah, I'm definitely aware. I love hip hop, man. I have been in love with hip hop since I was a little kid. In fact, like growing up, one of my neighbors is like in Philly. a well-known DJ. He used to let me travel with him and like set up the crates and turntables and all. This is when DJs use real wax, you know what I mean? Right. And so I grew up in love with hip hop and hip hop culture. So it's one of those things where as I hear the song, my mind automatically goes to this like, what would have happened in hip hop if the dominant image of femininity in hip hop was like a Lauryn Hill versus Lil' Kim, right? That's the same kind of argument, right? In a sense.
Yeah.
But I think what we're seeing now is just but the image of women in hip hop, the image they kind of live into, so to speak, is the image that men promote in hip hop, right? It's the same. It's the idea of like, the reason why she could say spin that is because a man is gonna say, I'm gonna spin that, right? I got that, right? I remember YouTube in the video. I didn't even hear. I heard a snippet of the song on Instagram, and I YouTube. Let me just see. As soon as the video popped, I said, I think I could just like turn the. This ain't nothing but in the strip club, like you know what I mean. It's kind of a ratchet anthem, right?
It's definitely some strip club type of.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Go ahead. No, I was saying I think that the image that's promoted the most is usually something that's in that same area about, they had that Cardi B, Meg Thee Stallion, WAP a few years ago. It's been going, Lil' Kim, it's been that way. And I think it's unfortunate that the highest selling female artists have a lot of the same content. You know what I'm saying? You don't see a Rhapsody or at the top of the charts. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people probably don't even know who that is. But
yeah, she's dope. Rhapsody's dope. Tierra Whack.
Yeah, you know Tierra Whack. Yeah. But I think that it's like it's unfortunate that, but they say sex sells.
Right, that's what I was about to say.
And that's exactly what that is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, somewhat to me, the thing that comes to my mind when I hear that, and when I hear the debate between, because the ironic thing is that Arie actually didn't even name the song. If I'm not mistaken, somebody on Threads talked about boycotting it, and she kind of like gave her 2 cents on it. But because the way the thread kind of works, so to speak, the first person's comment and India's comment go together, right? So it's like, oh man, she's talking about joining the boycott. Now mine, I'm like, there's so many layers to the conversation about capitalism. And I just listened to one joint that was about late stage capitalism, the idea that, you have people who are from, under-resourced communities and whatnot, and they're trying their best to hustle, right? So the one seemingly, and I ain't trying to talk a long time, but the one seemingly unimpeachable thing in hip hop, even urban culture at large, is the hustle.
Yeah.
Right? Like I remember, what was it, A$AP Rocky or something? Not A$AP Rocky. Some man's name from Florida. I know Ross, every day I'm hustling.
Ross, yeah.
Hustle hard. That
Ace Hood.
Ace Hood, yes. So the thing about, even Jay-Z back in the day can't knock the hustle.
That's right.
So the idea, that kind of idea of the hustle being the thing, you come from the hood and it's like to struggle, and you come from a rough family environment, rough, community and whatnot, you sell a little work, or you trap or whatever, or you going to sound not even Lil' Kim. Missy said in the song, girls, get that cash. If it's 9 to 5 or shaking ain't no thing, ladies, do your thing.
That's right.
So the idea though is that as long as a person from the hood is on the come up through the hustle, you can't knock or judge the hustle.
Yeah.
So the thing India did truly is to knock the hustle, and that's where the Hornets nest came out. It's like, it's kind of crazy.
So what you think about that? You think the comment she made, you think let her live, let Yo Miami get her cash, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what you think?
I feel basically, this type of generation, time and era has changed from the rappers that we heard when we were younger, hip hop, into the rappers that they have now. I think, like you said, sex sells, and that seems to be a big thing in today's era. So with them, speaking of the things like the song "Spin That," like I mentioned before, that's definitely a strip club theme.
Yeah.
So I think it has its little run. You know, it's hot right now.
Yeah.
But after that, I don't think it's gonna be a strong vibe from the women's perspective. You know.
Yeah.
So it's a difference to me from now. And like I said before, I'm really not I don't listen to that type of music, of course, or whatever. But me hearing the song or whatever, I was at a big wow. The things that they mentioned in the song or whatever, and I it's just out of my league.
Yeah. I think I mean, thought that came to my mind. I just one of my friends was telling me, he was like, "Man, did you know that song? Remember back in the day? Woo, there it is.
Of course, yeah.
Did you know that song? That song was written by the DJ who a DJ used to work as the DJ in Magic City, a strip club. Right, so the whoop, there it is. The there it is look at what she's doing on the pole. Like, oh, she busting it open. You know what I mean? Whoop, there it is. And so the idea of like, again, sex sells. And that's why I say I think the image of women in hip hop has largely, and this is not to say women don't have any agency. Like, you have the ability to decide, I'm going to make this or I'm going to make that. I'm going to be about this. I'm going to be about that.
Yeah, but when it comes to hip hop, you know what I'm saying, the culture, I think that men, when it comes to that, have stronger power.
I agree with you.
And it's not as many women out there as there are men that have a good long run. It's not an MC Light or a Queen Latifah where they're going for a good while and making hits after hits.
Yeah.
These women today, they come out with one hit song, and once that's over with, you probably don't hear from them no more.
Yeah.
You know
No, that's real. And that's just my point to say, like, that's not necessarily just to blame men, but I think anytime industry comes behind it, that's one of the problems people start having about hip hop in general, at least in the 90s, one of those beefs between the conscious community and mainstream hip hop was the idea that, or conscious hip hop, guys like, Common, I used to love her, right? Hip hop.
Right, yeah.
Even J. Cole, I still love her. I think it was one of his recent
Something like that, yeah.
So I think that there is a sense of like, the image of how women are accepted in the hip hop is largely the image that both men and the industry as it is promotes. But I do think it's dangerous. I think it's detrimental, especially when I think there was a report that came out not too long ago of a mother and a daughter that got arrested for literally for boosting or stealing.
Yeah, and the cops played that song.
Because on the Instagram video, she was flexing with the bags they stole with the song "Where My Scamming." Stuffing that ish in your bag. Like, so you got real world implication. This is the soundtrack for somebody's life.
So I think like artists like D1, if you know who that is, he's Christian hip hop, India Arie. When they make these comments, they're saying, look, this is essentially poison in the well. People are going to be listening to this. And I think that we're not robots. We can't just listen to something and it not affect us, impact us. Right. There's certain songs when you hear an Al Green beat come on, you get happy. You get the one step. You know what I'm saying? 2 step, and then. But that same thing. That's why I've talked to Leon about this before. I think that there's music has a deeper impact on us than we might care to admit, right? And I think that when you just consume it, you might think it has no impact, right? Like you were talking about you being a friend with a DJ. I used to be friends with this DJ out in Nebraska where I lived before this, and they were telling me like I was like, yo, play what we trying to hear. When I was like, play what we trying to hear. He's playing like Hannah Montana. He's playing all this stuff, right? He's saying
pop music.
You know what I'm saying? But he was saying like, I can't play that music because he was saying every time he played it, there would be fights. There would be this, that, and the third that would spill over. And I think that when songs like this come out, we hear the beat and we like nod in our head and we like, oh, it's a nice beat. And some people don't think anything past that. They just like, yeah, the beat is fire, the hook is fire.
Right.
Sonically it sounds good. But you start listening to that message, and it's like, what are we promoting?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like we're promoting no disrespect. You know what I'm saying? I know it's hard to criticize without sounding like a hater, whatever, but I think that's some of the worst aspects.
Well, let me ask you this. So you feel as if music takes an effect. Say for example, a guy, he gets pulled over by the police or whatever. He was speeding, whatever. Police go in his car. He was listening to Tupac.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the music he was listening to had an effect of the crime that he committed?
I mean, I don't think it's necessarily 1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah.
But I think that, like, I couldn't picture nobody listening to Luther Vandross run up in somebody's house. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
somebody.
A house is not a home. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see somebody doing that. But I think when you in that kind of mode, you got a soundtrack. You got that kind of music that you going for.
But maybe it ain't you said it was a message, but maybe the beat itself,
Yeah.
The beat is fire.
Right.
Look, I played drums. I still play drums. Like, the beat is fire. I'm not denying
would that beat amp somebody up to want to do something that they really not supposed to do? Like you said, you can't be listening to Luther Vandross and you go in the house and rob somebody.
Right. I think it can impact you. Like, whether or not it's saying, I'm not saying somebody that wouldn't do that crime just gonna listen to that song and go out and do that crime. But I think the people that are in that world that do that, they bumping that all day, every day. That's their anthem. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you on that.
I have a friend. I don't think he would even be able to peep this, or he probably would. What's up, Shylin? What up, man? If you ever watching this,
Shout out to Shy.
Yeah, what up, Shy? But Shy has this song, man. It's called "Lift 'Em Up," and in the chorus of the song, he says, "We trying to help you learn a new route. Every rapper's a preacher. Only question, what's the sermon about?" And so I think his point is to say, like, everybody's teaching and preaching something. And hip hop, as opposed to like singing, if you will, because there's no sustained notes, there's no like whatever, right? There's none of that. There's just like, you could fit so many more words in the same amount of musical space than a singer could fit, right? Which is our rap songs, generally rap, and ironically, some country songs or even some rock songs have way more, not only BPMs, beats per minute, but also way more words. And so the more words you pack into a small amount of musical space, it has the ability to shape your worldview because it's teaching you by virtue of how much is being said. I mean, now you look at like the streaming numbers and all that, and the fact that music is kind of, like you said, in and out. I remember hearing Beyonce talk about that. Like, people don't create strong body of work anymore. It's just about these singles and all that. Even Sade back in the day, she's like, she don't just drop singles, she drops a body of work, you know what I mean? And hopefully the body of work stands the test of time. But the idea about the musical space, I think it can shape your worldview, right? Like you said, nobody's listening to Luther and they do it wilding in this way. But I think hip hop has a dope opportunity to shape culture in a healthy direction. That's not to say you can't still like have fun and do like party and do all that, but there are some things that work against our best interest. Right? I remember my man Shy, he has another joint. It's called "Slow Down." And he's like, he said, your mind state is secular when your eyes are dry while the sky high crime rate is regular. He says, abortion lies, we whores that got fees, the Lord is not pleased. Think about it logically. He said, if God doesn't judge America, he owes Sodom and Gomorrah an apology. Like, even in the same amount of musical space, like he's actually saying, right, he's killing it, right? But he's like, the mind state is really grim when 9-year-old girls want to grow up to be like Little Kim. He's like, this last thing, he's like, and he's at 14, the girl has her eyes on the guy with the Range Rover. He ain't sober. She still believes the things he told her. For he got a new lady, so for him it may be over, but for her it's just beginning. She's pushing a baby stroller saying, I wish I knew then what I know now. Somebody should have told her slow down. But that kind of message is going to get put not even on the radio half the time. You know what I mean? Because it goes against the stream, and most people don't want to hear that. They want to hear, throw that raw song, throw that whatever, spin that on. You know what I mean?
They don't want to hear what's positive.
What's real? What's real to life?
So that makes me think about a couple things. One, there's this video, I don't know if y'all seen it, some Florida rapper, I forget his name, but he's shooting a video in front of like an elementary school or middle school, and they playing Spin That.
I saw that.
And you seen that, and it's like all these kids singing the song word for word, and it just made me think about a few things. Like it made me think about, okay, I got a son, he's 4, and to be honest, I don't even like. I love music. I grew up on music. I don't even place like the only music he hears is some old school R&B or some Christian
like
hip hop or Christian R&B. Like I don't even play that because I remember I was a kid. One of the first rap songs that I knew word for word was "Suicidal Thoughts" by Biggie. You ever heard that? It starts off, "When I die, I want to go to."
I wasn't a kid when I heard it.
I was in a different kind of life, brother.
When I was a kid, I was listening to NWA and
That
shows my age.
Yeah, go ahead. I have a question for you after you finish.
Yeah, but I was just thinking about, not saying that song gave me depression, but at that time I was struggling with depression from 8 until I was 28. And so I think about a song like that and what I was internalizing at that age. I thought that that's where I wanted to go. I thought it don't make sense going to heaven with the goodies dressed in white. I like black
that's like I just asked you a few minutes ago. Like you listen to certain songs and they kind of direct or give people, you know what I'm saying, an image or which route they want to go because you're hearing the song, and then it's on a tape or CD or whatever you listen to. You can always go back.
It's a piece of plastic with
they
don't even know what a tape.
They don't know what tapes and cassettes are. But what I'm saying is, when you heard that song that one time and it made you feel a certain type of way, you could always go to the beginning and then keep hearing it over and over and over. So
I definitely think it impacts you.
Yeah,
and that's why for my son, when I'm looking at music, that I don't want him singing back to me. Where my skin, I want him talking about Jesus. I want him talking about, you know what I'm saying, a message that's I can feel comfortable. If he was at school rapping, fit something talking about the Lord, I'm good. I feel, you know what I'm saying? Like,
What do you think about this statement? Like that music is the megaphone of the heart. You think that's a true statement?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, yes and no, though, because I think about there was a while back, Future. He was I think on a live stream with Nicki Minaj, whatever, and she was basically telling him like, you don't even do this stuff. He was at the time the Percocet, Molly Percocet, that song was out.
Right.
Yeah.
And she was like, you don't even do that.
But then I think it's for entertainment for other people. You know what I'm saying? It might not be what he doing.
That's what I'm saying.
But you got, he's selling millions of records, you know what I'm saying? And he counting that money because he's rapping about something that he don't even do.
So this is where I think is the heart of the issue is, for one, you're not even about it. Right. Why you rapping about a life that you're not about?
A lot of people.
And then
but hip hop is
I agree. That's
what
I think is the heart of the heart of the issue right there. Is like, first of all, you're not doing the stuff that you're rapping about. Second, if people did what you were rapping about, is that a world you want to live in?
Exactly.
Right? Like they make those songs to get out of the neighborhoods where they're doing that at.
Right.
And thirdly,
you know what I'm saying?
A lot of the guys that's making the music, rapping or whatever, they didn't write their own music. They have a writer to write it for them. You know, so it's a big difference.
So I say this because I think it's dope. First of all, you fly. I appreciate you, brother.
Come on.
I appreciate it. Thank you, man.
But the other thing that came to my mind though is that you mentioned you grew up listening to who you said
NWA, Big Daddy Kane, Run DMC.
Yeah. So you got Scarface, right. Yeah. So you kind of was around. So again, I think I could think in my mental Rolodex of songs that got nothing to do with Young Miami, but it was from the 90s, like you said, that was just as wild, just as crazy. But it's not to say the megaphone isn't as loud. I guess my question to you is like, what was it like for you seeing that culture transition? Because it went from MC Lyte to Lil' Kim. It went from I'm missing a whole bunch of artists in between them, of course.
Right.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is like, there's a lot of different artists that, in at that time frame who were influential, but a shift happened in the culture where the mainstream wasn't.
I think the shift happened due to the society that we live in.
Okay, that's
the things that's going on now wasn't happening late 80s, early 90s, or whatever.
Give me an example of what you mean by the things, so that we can like.
Well, they're so freely the speech now. You know, you got kids out here cursing, and you know, you got kids seeing, you know, nudity and things like that. Back then, when I was young, it wasn't a such thing as any type of songs where they were having, was it bleeping? They beep out curse words and stuff like that. But now today, they cursing on the radio.
Right.
It wasn't cursing on the radio back then. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when I say society has changed, they're allowing certain things to happen now that wasn't happening in the 80s and 90s. So as that continues to grow in the era, like I said before, it changes, newer stuff comes out. It only gets, I'm not gonna say it gets better, but for us, you know, being into God and the things that we listen to, it's worse for us. You know, so the kids are helping this stuff grow.
Yeah, I think what we see in hip hop is,
and not mean to cut you off.
No, you're good, bro.
Kids, but the generation, it's a different generation from our my generation, y'all generation. So the newer generation are expanding the things that we don't agree with. And these people are putting it out because they're getting money.
So let's do a quick temperature check, real quick. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 50 years old.
50. I'm 38. How old are you?
33.
Okay, bet. So we have, you said how old again?
50.
50, 38,
33.
33. How old are you?
50.
50, bet. So we kind of rank these gaps, if you will. You and I, even though I'm a little bit older, we are in a similar, I have the same reference points as you, right? And vice versa. And so in a lot of ways, I think that what we see in hip hop, just from my perspective, was just a matter of time. I remember, what's my man, DMC. DMC from Run DMC. I remember him watching an interview where he was just cussing like in his common speech. He's like, yeah, man, that shit was blah, 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 blah. You know, he was just talking. And he was like, you know, we was doing, he said, when we would hear like the gangster rappers and all that kind of stuff, we was doing everything they were saying. But we felt we owed it to the public to not put that out in the music, because we knew that when that got into the music, it was going to shape things in a negative direction. Even more so. I guess the other thing that comes to my mind is like, I asked the question, do you think it's a true statement that music is a megaphone to the heart? Meaning people are looking for something to amplify what's already going on inside of them. Right. And so I think that's kind of what the dude D1 is trying to say, is like, we don't want to normalize certain things because it's going to create even more problems, especially when you're from the hood and you grew up in single parent homes, live in public housing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. These messages actually go against your flourishing, whether you realize it or not. And plus, hip hop, this is the last thing I'll say, hip hop in itself is the industry itself, because of the way the music is consumed now, like you said, they make a song and it's hot and it's over. Like, we have way more one-hit wonders now than we had way like in the 90s or the early 2000s or whatever, even 2010s or whatever. But because of that, there is this idea of, as long as I can get here, like this public recognition, by any means necessary. And that goes back to what I was saying before. One of the dominant themes of hip hop is the hustle. It's like, so somebody is going to say, it don't matter what you got to do to get to it, as long as you get into it. So again, I think that's kind of where, you know, where this Young Miami thing has kind of come from. Even you got guys like Trick Daddy calling everything but a child of God. You know what I mean? But
now, one problem I have with that Trick Daddy video, him and a lot of other people that I know, men. I'm talking about men. They look all kinds of ways, but talk about women crazy. And I'll be like, man, look at you. That's what I be wanting to say, man. Look at you.
But that's what some women like. You know, they like that, you know?
Yeah. And I guess I think that, to me, says this stuff is coming from somewhere. But again, there's a saying, correlation, connectivity does not equal causation. It didn't make this happen, right? However, I do think that, you know, people know what's popping. They know what sells. They know what's out there, which is why when you hear somebody, if someone's life really is super duper duper wild, there's only a certain kind of thing that's acceptable in the culture. So for example, you got Kanye back in, like when he first came out, College Dropout, he was on Rockefeller, et cetera. his stuff was like so countercultural because it was like cool but kind of conscious, and at the same, then he went from that to even more braggadocious after he stole the mic from Taylor Swift, going off the Henny. That's what he said. I was going off the Henny, you know. So, but you have him shift.
What's going on? I hope that you are enjoying this episode, but I wanted to take the time out to ask you to please subscribe to the podcast. I've noticed that a lot of people are watching but are not subscribed. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. That way you won't miss an episode when it's aired or about to air. And also make sure you go to impelforwardmerch.com. That's impelforwardmerch.com. Grab you something. Now back to the episode.
Then he drops 808s and Heartbreak. That brought auto-tune even to a more, prominent place. Yeah. But then from there, he has this, at the time he would say this spiritual awakening. Now I'm like a Christian. I'm doing Sunday service, all these type of things.
Before that, he was Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus, my bad.
And then the spiritual awakening.
I guess all of that to say, when he started doing like the anti-Semitic stuff though, when he started like dissing the Jews and he started really super duper ranting on almost every single thing under the sun.
Yeah.
Then he was like canceled again and again and again and again. I guess all that to say, hip hop is okay with a certain degree of ruggedness.
Yeah.
A certain degree of like ratchet craziness. But you can't talk about the powers that be. Like, but you can talk about your own people by all means. Kill the nigga, in your song. Yeah, for sure. But don't talk about these people, these folks over here, because they're a vulnerable community. That just goes to show kind of the duplicitous contradiction in hip hop culture. It's like we can profit off of one community's, shaming and pushing down, but not the community that people would say, you got to protect those communities.
So long as you're down in your own race.
Right. So it's like, so why are they protected, but we can't be protected by ourselves?
There's an interview of, I forget his name. He's a record exec. He's bald. I think he's also Jewish. He was on the Breakfast Club.
Leor Cohen.
Was it Leor Cohen?
Leor Cohen.
Him and Charlamagne.
He was over Def Jam.
Yeah, and him and Charlamagne were talking, and Charlamagne said something to the effect of, "You put out all this music about killing and stealing, like why not promote something else?" And he was like, "Well, it pays the bills." Right. And it's like,
I got kids to feed too.
I got kids. Yeah, exactly. So I see what you're saying there. But I kind of wanted to bring it back for a second. I want to ask you, Red, when I was coming up, if it wasn't the hard, like at the time, Jeezy, T.I., the South, like the trap music was big and Gucci and all this, right? And if it wasn't that, if you wanted to listen to a Cole or a Drake, or it was soft. You know what I'm saying? It was soft.
Yeah.
So my question is, like, a lot of times I feel like in the culture, it's like the only real music is about killing, stealing, and sex for real. So
the same old stuff. Yeah.
Right. So my question was, what was it like when you were coming up? Like, because I feel like we were talking about Christian hip hop before, before we came on. And I feel like when I was younger, that was the corniest, that was a stereotype. I'm not saying it necessarily was.
I feel you.
But that was the stereotype, right? Like that's the corny.
Yeah.
Right? Just like coming up, the corny dude was getting good grades or coming home to both parents, going to whatever that was, that was deemed as corny. Whereas the one that's out here living that life, that's real. So I'm just wondering, like, what your perspective is on that. Like, and do you think, obviously, is that how it was for y'all? Like, how did that impact you? You know what I'm saying?
Well, unfortunately, I'm like you, man. I had a 2-parent household. I'm not from, the projects and nothing like that. Like I said, my father was in the military, so I lived on base. You know what I'm saying? As far as music-wise, back then when I was a child, I was a big Wu-Tang fan. I listened to a lot of Wu-Tang,
They ain't nothing to F with, is there?
Yeah. You got the cream.
I say this, the closest thing to rap hip hop, when it came to gospel, was what, 93, 94 when Kirk Franklin came out with Stomp.
Oh, man.
Because back in our day,
he wasn't even a rapper.
That's what I'm saying. Me and Red, we 50. Back then, Christian hip hop wasn't even around.
Right.
Back in the early 90s, 91, 89.
Yeah.
I don't think it was around.
It wasn't out during that
but
time.
back then-
There was a dude now. So I only know this because somebody else, some other dudes put me on. But I don't know the date. Somebody can look this up for themselves. But a dude named Stephen Wiley and some others who were
Never heard
doing. They were doing it, but it's like you got to think. Anytime you have a subgenre of a larger genre, there's going to be way less money going into it, way less production, et cetera, going into it. So even if he was just as talented as I don't know his music. Don't quote me, but even if there's not as much. Even if a person's just as talented lyrically in their pen game, so to speak, if you don't have the backing behind the system to help promote it and make it equal to what's popular, it's always going to be viewed as.
I was going to say that because you said like in '93, I think Kurt Franklin was the one that came out with sort of like the hip hop.
Now, let me say, he, like you said, he wasn't a rapper. I was just being funny. Like,
I know what you mean, but what I'm saying is, there's probably some other guys during that time that had like gospel rap or whatever. But like he said, there wasn't a lot of people really trying to hear it. So a lot of people not wanting to hear that, I don't think no money would have been made. So they wouldn't have put them out. You know what I'm saying? And they would have put out what people wanted to hear.
Yeah, right. And then like he was saying, well, me and you back in the day with Scarface, NWA, and Ghetto Boys. Those was. Pretty sure some other ones underground, but as far as playing on the radio, you're hearing them a lot. Those was the closest ones to gangster rap and the hood and talking about drugs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, again, I could speak from the this is late mid 90s. Well, cats have been around for a while, but in terms of Christian hip hop, I mean, some of my OGs, brothers that have influenced me early on, even to this day. Some of them are like good friends of mine. Shout out to Deuce, Ambassador. From Cross Movement. Cross Movement to me is like people used to jokingly say they're the Christian Wu-Tang. But they had a whole squad of cats, you know what I mean? And they were dope. They were on BET a couple times, like back in the Rap City, the Basement. You know what I mean? BET Awards, all that kind of. They've been around for a long time. And eventually the group, like they dropped a couple albums, like 4 or 5 albums. And now you got guys like Lecrae, who's kind of is an offshoot of them. And so and then underneath them, there's a whole bunch of like, I'm trying to tell you, it's a whole bunch of different artists. Even to the day, you got guys like Bizzle, you got guys like KB, you got guys like back in the day. I say back in the day, it's crazy how back in the day keeps moving further and further up. You know what I mean? Back in the day used to be back in the 90s. Like, back in the day, you're talking about 2000. Like, bro, that wasn't that long ago. But again, 26 years ago. Yeah, 20. It was somebody's day, right?
And who was Show Baraka with? Was he with
Show Baraka? So at one point, Reach Records, which is Lecrae's label, they had Show Baraka, they had Tadashi. Well, still got Tadashi, but they had Show, Tadashi, my man Trip Lee, KB, Andy Mineo, and now they got a whole bunch of other artists now. But some of the dudes that I like, again, I'm just naming these people to say that Christian hip hop has had a great movement, so to speak. But again, it's what you're talking about, what's popping. Like it's not, and what message people are giving. Right. So you got other groups, other artists labels like Lamp Mode Recordings back that was really had a wave. They were like very much so like theologically precise in their lyric, but they were some of the dopest lyricists I ever heard. My man Shai Lynn back in the day was Jay's son, Hazakim. It's a bunch of SO.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Why do you think the messaging in Christian hip, I think it's growing now. Like I think that you got Miles Minnick that was just on the XXL freshman cover. And there's Christian hip hop that's coming up and it's kind of moving more into mainstream, but it's still not a number one charting song. So I think you kind of have to be willing to search for it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But what I'm saying is, why do you think that kind of messaging, and it doesn't even have to be Christian hip hop, but maybe like a Lauryn Hill, a Rhapsody, a J. Cole. Why? Well, Cole is mainstream, but why do you think that type of messaging, the uplifting, the hey, let's help each other out? Yeah. Why do you think that that's not as
Before you answer that, that's what I was about to get to, because when it comes to people say Christian hip hop, it comes to the music and the beat.
Yeah,
it's all about the lyrics. Because some people argue that, you rapping to this hip hop beat, this rap beat, but it's about the lyrics. Yeah. And music is just music, alone music, without the lyrics.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have a problem with that. Why do you think that?
Yeah. I'm no expert on none of this.
But I used to rap. You a rapper. You're an expert.
Oh man, I didn't know that.
Hey,
Get your autograph. Get your autograph.
You know what Kendrick said, don't tell no lie about me.
Won't tell you about you.
But no. Yeah. So I think in terms of Christians and hip hop, a lot of it really depends on what your aim is in creating your music, right? Some dudes have a clear Christ exalting event or even of evangelistic bent, meaning their aim in the music is to promote the reality of God, the message of the gospel, etc. And so, of course, like if somebody like my man, again, I could quote this dude for days, but one of my friends says this song, again, same dude, Shylin. He has a song called on his first album, it's called the Solus Christus Project, and the song is called Christ Crucified. He says, when I say trust in Jesus, cats look at me like I'm crazy, yet this song is your wake-up show like Sway and Tech. He says, sin's problem is much greater than human hurts. You owe a debt to the creator of the universe. And trust me, son, who do much more than dial your number. The Lord is going to track you down like a bounty hunter. On Judgment Day, cop and please ain't going to work because God is like a shower drain. He sees all your dirt. The evil you do with your devious crew, you're rotten to the core. He's knocking at your door. You're weeding your brew, plus the freaks that you screw. You're shopping at the store, should be dropping to the floor. If you make it your business to pray for forgiveness, the savior of misfits will take you off his hit list. But say you dismiss this. It shows you're misled because like the Sixth Sense, you don't even know that you're dead. You're not going to hear that on the radio. So again, I guess what I'm trying to say from my perspective as a lover of hip hop, just in general, I hear what he's saying. I'm like, when I wasn't a Christian, I should say, and a person that loved hip hop, the thing that caught my ear wasn't what he was saying. It was that he was just such a dope lyricist. And then the message piece came later. Was like, oh snap, that. Like,
it took you a minute to catch on what he was really saying. Yeah.
And so I think when it comes to Christians involved in hip hop, like there is going to be, what are you willing? It's just facts. What are you willing to take out of your music so that it reaches a wider audience who don't want to hear you as explicit as I just was? Well, that verse just was, right? And so some brothers just say, I'm not going to compromise the message for the sake of a wider appeal. Plus, believing that God is sovereign, he will make sure this gets to who it needs to get to and where it needs to get to without radio. That's how Lecrae got popping. Like, he had nothing on the radio at one point.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But he was selling so many records. A lot of his audience, a majority, all of his audience, I'm willing to say, were Christians buying his stuff. And that was putting him above a lot of mainstream hip hop artists. And so again, the thing the industry respects isn't just lyricism. It isn't just beats. It's numbers. Like how can we profit off your evident success? Yeah. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is, in a roundabout way, is that I think Christians involved in hip hop really have to ask themselves, in what ways, better yet, am I going to leverage this medium as a springboard to talk about what I really want to talk about? And more explicitly Christian, and I don't mean Christian in a flowery sense, just like, oh, I'm a Christian, I love God. But when you start getting explicit about Jesus, explicit about the gospel message that God, made all human beings in his image, people have sinned, and because of that, that put them under God's wrath. And Jesus came and lived a perfect life and died a death that sinners deserve at the cross. And he rose from the dead, paying the debt that you deserve, but also living 33 years of perfect obedience, fulfilling perfect righteousness that none of us can. And then he rose from the dead on the third day, proving that he was who he claimed to be. Yeah. You start talking like that in your music, you're probably not going to get a lot of shine.
A lot of people.
Yeah, you're not going to get a lot of shine.
Yeah.
Well, but I guess what I'm trying to say, I think hip hop or Christian hip hoppers or people who are influenced by hip hop culture, the metric for success has shifted from, I just want whoever to hear this, whoever going to hear it. But when it starts becoming about numbers and how are you selling and all that kind of stuff, I do think there's a question people need to ask is like, what am I willing to, how can I hold on to the thing that a thing that makes me Christian and not move against the stream of the culture, the industry culture. So I think there's always going to be that push-pull. And there's not been a lot of big blueprint of people who have been as explicit, but also as commercially successful.
Yeah.
Right.
So as a Christian, when we listen to these things, here's what I think about it. It's like D1 made this video. I keep going back to him because he's one of the biggest voices.
I was about to say, what you think about D1?
I musically, not the biggest fan. If I'm being honest, but as far as his message,
he's dope, though. I think he's dope.
Love it.
D1, you're dope.
Hey, I love your message. I think your message is dope. Truly, I think it's amazing. But what I love about it is like he stands 10 toes down on a solid message.
Yep.
And I remember on one of his videos, he made a video talking about basically critiquing the song "Spin That."
Yeah.
And in the comments, I think Young Miamiers, everybody was just like, "Why can't we just have this? Why you gotta say this? Why you gotta do that?" And so my thing is this: is like, how do you feel we should interact with it? Like, do we just turn it off? Do we say nothing about it? Like, and why do you think should we say more about it? Do you think that like, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm getting at.
No, yeah. I mean, what you think?
I mean, I think everybody has the right to voice their opinion.
Yeah,
how they feel about certain things. You know what I'm saying? And some people might feel one type of way, and somebody else will feel a different type of way. But I think opinions it really matters. Everybody has their thoughts on how they feel about something.
I think that I think anytime you put something out into the culture at large, it's going to open the door for supporters, haters, detractors, people who are jealous, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The thing that I'm kind of bothered by, in one sense, is the moment you start speaking against a thing, the category of like thoughtful, considerate, mindful, community-minded, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all those things get completely sandwiched into, you're just a hater.
Right? Yeah.
It's like, well, I'm not. I don't hate you.
Yeah.
You hating on my rise, on my. You just ain't trying to let a young girl eat. It's
That's right.
But the problem is that she thinks that's the only way she can eat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I kind of feel like it's kind of like if you are sober and you don't drink at a party, like somebody could be doing all kinds of drugs, drinking at a party, and it's supposed to be looked at as like, okay, like
you don't do it, you the oddball.
But when you don't do it, they get to act
the lane. Yeah, you lame. Why you even here?
Yeah. And I feel like that kind of music, it's like drugs. It's like that because it's intoxicating.
Yeah.
It like I swear I have never downloaded that song. I've never listened to it all the way through. But it's almost every single day. I'm just minding my business and I hear it playing in my head. You know what I'm saying? Like I hear it playing in my head.
Right.
And I feel like for people, it can feel like a release. Like they're listening to this music and they just feel, it's funny. It's this, that, and the third, right? But it's overall, I think it's harmful to you.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you, like for me, I've been on I just don't play any of that. You know what I'm saying? I love hip hop too, but I struggle with that because a lot of the messaging in there, like, I'm getting a little off topic, but I saw after the Knicks won and in church, they was playing the Empire State of Mind, Jay-Z and Alicia Keys. In that song, Jay-Z says, "And Jesus can't save you. Life starts from the church."
That's a whole different thing.
You know what I'm saying?
You see the duplicitous nature of a dude that just loves Jay-Z. He gonna grant Jay the pass, but he's gonna get on my
right. I love Hov too. Like I Nike-ish, check. Like I grew up on Hov too, but I'm saying
I think he was taken out of context on that song, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, we can talk about that. We can talk about
what was the lyric? Not because I know.
He says something. He says, "Hail Mary." The lyric says, "Hail Mary to the city, you're a virgin. Jesus couldn't save you. Life starts when the church ends." So this is an aside. Pause.
We here.
But we here now. We here now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I think he was taken out of context because I think if you listen to the song, he like the first or second verse, something like that. He's actually telling a story in the song where he says, good girls gone bad, the city's filled with them, and he's talking about how people come to the city with all kind of ideas and dreams for themselves, and then the city somehow has a way not of taking over a person's dreams and visions, because after all, you gotta eat, this is going back to this is connect. I'm trying to bring it together. It's like some people are like, you gotta do what you gotta do. It's like, for example, a different city, not New York, but a different city, Atlanta. There was I saw a report. A conversation, and they were talking about how Spelman College is in Atlanta, and they thought, Spelman's just this prestigious institution and all of that, black women and black women empowerment, and it is that. But they found out one of the girls that was working at Magic City was a Spelman student. Right. And but the reason why they say that is because she was like, I gotta pay my tuition. I got a son, I got a this and a that. And so when you think about, like, people, when they come to the city, the reality of the city life hits you as like, I gotta do what I gotta do. And so I think what Jay is saying in that song, in that line, he says, Jesus couldn't save you. Who's the you? Not the city of New York. He's talking about the person. Meaning, like, you have this religious life, but your life starts, not true life starts, in my view. This is me interpreting. As Jay-Z gonna say, I said it. But no, how I'm reading, how I hear it is like, he's telling a story, and he says, Jesus couldn't save you from the city. Your life in the city starts when church ends. Right.
Yeah.
It's like people who go to church on a Sunday morning. Some of the same wild people will end up going to Magic City or a strip club or the drinking or whatever when the church ends. That's not to say the church itself. I don't think he's dissing the church. I think he's making a point about when you live in the urban community, urban life, it's so rugged and grimy that a person can have so many different facets of who they are, that the religious life is not dominant in that person's life. That's how I'm hearing it.
I hear what you're saying.
You can disagree. So
I do, only because I serve a God that'll meet me wherever I'm at. In the hood.
But Jay-Z's not a Christian.
Well, I'm just saying that's why are they playing that in the church?
That is the problem.
It was a video. It was a viral video after the Knicks won a New York church, and they're playing in New York. They're singing at the choir. The church choir is singing this song.
I saw that
in church. And I'm like,
no, that part, I'm with you. Like, they shouldn't be singing that in the church. I guess the thing I was trying to do is pull those pieces of that one statement and pull those things apart and say they should, agreeing with you, they shouldn't be singing that in the church. I fully agree with you. But on the underside of that, Jay wasn't actually making that statement about the church can't save you. He's saying this person's life, this duplicitous life where, hey, it's like the person that says, man, I got a son. And so because I have a son, I got to do this, this, and this. Like, I got to work 2-3 jobs. For example, I grew up you talking about your upbringing. I grew up in a single parent home with my dad. And my dad worked a job where he's a contractor on his own company. And I remember so many times where he would give me a key to the house and I would leave it at home. I'll forget, And before you know it, I'm sitting out on the porch in the hood in in upper North Philly, and all kind of stuff is going on right around me. Or I have my key and I'm sitting in the house, but right outside of my door, all these other things I'm exposed to. But at home, I'm exposed to different things too, right? And so all that to say, I think if my dad or a parent, let's say that, if a parent was to say, I love my kids, I love, my sons and my daughter, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, but I gotta feed them. So that means I gotta work 2-3 jobs when I'm not around. Could a person say, you don't really love your kid because you gotta work 3 jobs?
See, I think
no. I guess the point I'm making is, again, your life, your value in that song, your religious belief is one thing, but your practical reality is another. Is what I'm saying. I'm saying you could be a Christian, but hey, sometimes cats are like, yo, I gotta do what I gotta do. And some, depending on your moral compass, what's the gravitational center in you, is some things you'd be more or less attracted to. Right? Somebody, if I don't drink, somebody throw in a bottle of like Remy or something in front of me, it's not gonna do that to me. But if you ever pass an alcohol, it's gonna be like, oh, I'm not drawn to it, but I have more of a pull than you because you don't have the exposure that I had. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
it's okay if we just. It's all right, brother.
We good. We good. We can have
he's like, no, he's the referee, right?
Yeah, I feel like Red go in the middle, man. He's like, hold on,
hey, what's going on now?
But okay, because I think what you're saying is a reality for a lot of people. They like, well, I believe in Christ, but I got to go get it by any means necessary.
And I think that's wrong.
I think that is so wrong,
yes,
and I think
agree.
that is a wrong frame of mind to have, a wrong foundation to have, to say the only option I have is to go and do these things that compromise my integrity, compromise my morals.
I fully agree.
And I can't tell you how many of my friends coming up, because I was one step this way from being in jail, dead or in jail, and I was one step this way from being a choir kid, that grew up like I'm mixed, so I was literally in the middle of a bunch of things, growing up. And I just remember I'm looking at some, like, because I was friends with everybody from every walk of life, rich, poor, gay, straight, white, black, Hispanic. Like, I have best friends from like every demographic. And so I would look, and I love hearing people's stories. I love hearing people's stories.
Me too.
Hearing where people come from. And I'm like, two people can grow up in the exact same circumstances. A brother or a sister, two siblings can grow up in the exact same home and be total opposites.
Absolutely.
Right? Yep. And so I look at it like, man, when we look at it like, okay, I got these kids, so now I got to go hit this lick. Now I got to go this, that, and the third. Here's what I'm saying is, if that pressure you apply to, okay, I got to do it the hard way. I got to, take the stairs, as Dave Chappelle said. You can't always want the quick
escalator,
right?
Yep.
Like, it takes sacrifice in the beginning.
Fully agree.
It takes sacrifice in the beginning, but you don't sacrifice your morals, your integrity.
And I'm with
like
you.
that.
And all I was trying to say a moment ago, wasn't that I agree with those decisions, like that kind of duplicitous, that kind of these moral values being opposing one another. I'm saying, if I want to be taken correctly, rightly, in context, I think we owe it to people to give them the same context.
Sure.
That way we can be having the same conversation.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Sure. If that's like going back to this Young Miami thing. Like, if we look at her song, so to speak, like, the lyrics are foul as all get out, like straight up. But if someone wants to say, yeah, but she's also talking about being a good mother and this and that, I think I have, based on the context of the song, a reason to say, nah.
Yeah, I couldn't envision that.
Nah, I can't envision that.
They
don't go together, right?
Yeah,
and I guess that's my point about saying, think about a Jay thing. I fully agree with everything you said. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I want to grant him or whoever the ability to be taken in context. That way we can have a conversation here, rather than like, you said this, you meant this. Like, no, I think he means this. And if he means that, then we can speak to the fact that sometimes people do things that go against their moral values. Now, at the same time, you still need the gospel, though. You know what I mean? Like,
Sorry, and Ray, I'm going to pass this to you in a second. Yeah. What I would say, not to Jay in that sense, but maybe the person that he was talking about.
Yeah, the type of person he's talking about, the story he's describing.
Right. I feel like it's the same thing if it's with anger or something like this. If somebody, I'm gonna throw out something. If somebody says something about my mom, I'm gonna shoot him. Whatever. Whatever. Right.
Somebody step on my shoes,
then what you're saying is you have no control of yourself. What you're saying is that somebody else has control over you and your emotions. If you're saying that I have to go do X, Y, and Z that I know is wrong, and I used to do wrong. Like, I'm not sitting here, you know what I'm saying? I'm not sitting here with my hands clean. Like, my hands are as dirty as anybody else's. But what I'm saying is you can't, if you have that mindset of, I have to go compromise my morals to get what I want, you're saying I have no control over myself. You're saying like something else, my environment, my circumstances, everything else has control over me.
Well, with the control, if you are like, how can I say it, self-control, you know what I'm saying? That's something that you would, of course, pray to God about or whatever.
Yeah.
You want to have self-control to be able, you know what I'm saying, to have your input on certain things, just like anger. You know what I'm saying? Some people need help with anger. So these are the things that you will, approach God about and trying to get those things fixed or get them covered.
Yeah.
I agree with you saying.
Yeah. I think you mentioned before you loving stories, and I think one of my good friends, it's the Shy Lynn show.
I'm telling you,
but my man,
he's an honorary guest on this podcast.
That's an important guy in your life. But no, he has this line. He has this line, man. I've been listening to this dude since I was a kid.
Yeah, you about to put this whole album.
No, I'm not gonna rap the verse.
It's cool.
He said,
but on track 3, he said,
but on side A, the beat cuts, but no, he has this line. He says, each of our lives is a story. And with each new person we meet, we become a part of their story and they become a part of ours. And I think as we listen to people's stories, sometimes I'm like, Dag, I think you need a better story. Like, I want to point you to something beyond the story. You think about, like, in the Bible, Ecclesiastes, the writer of Ecclesiastes is repeatedly drawing people, like drawing the reader to the futility of life and various things, right? He says, like, it's vanity of vanities. Yeah. All is vanity. That's right. But the writer of Ecclesiastes, it's actually Solomon. Right?
Richest man.
Who was super duper. He was the richest man. He had 700 wives, 300 sex servants or concubines. He planted vineyards. My man said, he speaks in splurging. That's the language. You know what I mean? And so in a real way, I think Solomon is looking at the end of his life and seeing how living my life with a constant pursuit of pleasure and constant pursuit of acquiring is vanity. It's empty. And so I think that as we talk about, like, when I hear hip hop these days, my mind is like, you don't see the vanity. But one day, hopefully you will. Right? The problem is there are people underneath or following behind you who think the path to success is this.
Right. That's right.
Like pursuing money, sex, pleasure, acquiring status and things, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so all the things we boast in and people are pursuing and boasting in, those things are futile. They're vanity.
Yeah.
While at the same time, I think in that sense, if we can be the kind of men, but also the kind of people that are trying to uplift our community to say, hey, like you said, this song, the message in this song is so damaging that it's actually going to work against the ability for young boys and girls to get out of the community. Because that's what I was going to say when we first started, is that hip hop in itself, they say it's a competitive sport, but everybody's a rapper. Like, there's a billion rappers in the world, but you only know about a handful of them.
Right.
That goes to show that the lion's share of the people who end up like trying to rap or become rappers is like, it's so small that for my man down the block or whoever, it could be just as nice, but because of what is promoted and primed as like the mark of success in hip hop, certain artists will never ever reach that, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm just saying, like, that's why it's also so detrimental when you have music like this that's promoting messages like that. There's a lion's share of people who will never even become rappers still live in the hood.
Yeah.
Which is why, again, I think one of those virtues of hip hop is don't knock the hustle, because there's so few people who ever make it to here, whatever here is.
So Young Miami in that award show, she was like, I got the song of the summer. She's like, they hated on me, and it just makes me think of that Bible verse, what good is it to a man to gain the world but lose his soul?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
What does it profit you?
What does it profit you? Yeah. And it makes me think about, like, man, why is, I know why, because it sells.
Yeah.
But what would a society where we talk about, hey, be there for your kids, take them to church, be responsible, like, get it the hard way. Don't get it the fast way. Like, what would that look like if we had that in society and go to Christ, like, find Jesus? Like, I feel like we have a whole society culture right now that's hurting.
Hey,
You know what that sound like?
What's that?
Sound like D1, the one you said that.
Hey, look, I love D1's message.
D1, he loves your music. He wants an autograph.
Yo, listen,
you know what I mean? Sign the Nike
This is
check.
D1's biggest fan right
Follow him. I like all of his videos.
Okay, so back to that then. So you kind of you say you love him, but I don't. So is it his music that's? So what does it say? So what does it?
Well,
take?
He said earlier his message.
He don't like this. So that's not the message, but the presentation.
That's what I'm kind of getting at earlier. So what does it take for him to? I guess for his music to really sound like to win you over, get your approval. Yeah. You know, he's talking positive. Is it the beat?
What did you mention?
Is his
this is
delivery?
This is the time to let him know.
Okay, look, let me say this.
D1, listen up, man.
D1, I love your platform. I love what you do. I love your message. I think you're dope. Mm-hmm. For me, it's a sonic thing. It's the
and I think
I just don't really like the way his voice sounds. I'm not mad at him. Like I promise I'm not mad at him, but it's just the sonically, it just don't work for me, and that's okay.
And that's okay.
And that's
okay. He needs you to be his producer, basically.
Nah. I'm talking about. I'm talking about his voice. I ain't trying to play him, but you know what I'm saying. It's just.
So I love again D1. I love him. I think that I'm not a fan per se of his music.
Yeah.
He has a couple verses. I was like, oh, that Jones.
Yeah.
But again, to me, like, I don't necessarily have to be the biggest fan of somebody's like musical or artistic presentation just to be like, because it's art after all, it's subjective. Like for him, D1 could be the hottest thing ever. Yeah. To him, D1 is like garbage. You know, depending on but it's all subjective. It's based on what you like, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I said earlier. Like everybody has their opinions and their thoughts, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like a couple of people might really be feeling them. Somebody else think, the opposite. You know what I'm saying?
And I think that's one of the things I think even as an artist, I would assume he's super fine with that.
Right.
I think he would probably say, and I'm speaking for him, I don't know him. But like I think in a real way, it's almost like, can you get behind the message? So here's the question I have about D1.
Okay.
This is not about it is in a sense, right? So D1 has this super dope message.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody might say, but you contradict your message when you do songs with artists who are not on that. They just on that on your song. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. On your message, on your song. Yeah. But when Game makes his stuff, when Bootsy makes his stuff, when whoever like makes their own independent art, again, what they do off your song is what they do off your song.
That's like we said earlier, like when he mentioned Future, you know what I'm saying? He's rapping about something that he don't do.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to say
is there's a lot of rappers out there that do. They make songs about things that they don't do.
Sure. I guess what I'm trying to say is, do you think that dilutes D1's message by him doing songs with artists on their own type of time? They really gonna be on some like other stuff.
I think it's like this. Like
I guess.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
That song, Jesus was hanging with the pushers, the killers, and the pimp. Like he was, or tax collectors, whoever. Right? Jesus was out there discipling to the people that needed it. I don't necessarily think it dilutes what he like. I think
I don't think, to be fair, I don't think it does. I just wanted to see what you thought.
Yeah. I think that if he was on his message like, Jesus ain't everything and blah blah blah, then I'm like, well, hold up, like, if he got on a song with Game, whoever, and he starts talking about, I'm gonna flip something after this, like, I'm gonna be like, that's gonna dilute it. But if somebody that's not a true believer comes on his song,
and they're on he's setting the agenda,
then I think that that's a way that you can positively impact the culture. Like maybe it's just a one-off song,
right?
Or maybe it's a seed that's planted that they think like, man, I don't really want to keep doing
that. So that's kind of like what I was about to ask you about Nicki Minaj and Tasha Cobbs.
Tasha Cobbs,
was it I'm Getting Ready?
What's that?
I don't know
the song. Nicki Minaj and Tasha Cobbs. I think it's a song. I think it's called I'm Getting Ready. But that's kind of like
what she said. They did a joint together. Yeah.
She said that, maybe it can win other people over. She said it's kind of like a one-off song. She said, I think Nicki hit her up in the DMs or something, and she was surprised that she wanted to get on the song.
So I
think what you're saying is, why would you do a song with somebody like that, and they going back the other way doing whatever?
For where I'm at, I think it's different, right? I think hip hop in itself, does grant a certain degree of like, okay, thematic, right? Like the theme of the song can be this particular theme, and I can pull this artist and this art who's going to talk about this theme. I do have a different tack though, from my perspective, of Christians who do that in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
So it's one thing for me to bring. Because the thing about D1 is that I think so. So I have a little bit of a for D1 for you, brother. is I think he promotes what the scriptures would in theological spaces is called common grace, meaning it's available to everyone. God makes the sun shine on the just and the unjust. He makes the rain fall on the just and the unjust. You don't have to be a Christian to get rain. You don't have to be a Christian to get the sun, right? So I think D1 promotes general wisdom, fact. But I think the reason why it's so hard sometimes for people to understand where he's coming from, to me, is that there's a different engine fueling why somebody does what they do. And because D1's a Christian, I think sometimes he uses kind of, I would call it totalizing Christian terminology and applying a Christian ethic or way of living to people who don't know Jesus, who actually are not Christians. And because he does that, he's holding them to a standard that they don't actually believe in. You know, so it's like, hold up. Like, no, don't get me wrong. His message is dope because you don't have to be there's a guy named Francis Schaeffer, probably goes way beyond him. But he says, C.S. Lewis, if I'm not mistaken, one of the beauties of the Christian worldview is that you don't need to be a Christian to receive the benefits of that worldview, right? So, but if I was Muslim, I do need to be a Muslim to be able to receive the benefits of the Islamic community if I was living in an Islamically dominated country. So I can't get married. I can't get money. I barely can get a job. I can probably, as an expat worker, come from some other place with a visa into these places. But if I'm there and I'm a Christian, homegrown, it's going to be hard for me to access culture, which is why when Muslims in these other places become Christians, they're cut off from their family. And when they're cut off from their family, they're also cut off from the ways that they can flourish in society. All that to say, but from the Christian perspective, you do not have to be a Christian to have the benefits of the Christian worldview. You could not be a Christian and still go to a hospital that a Christian started. You cannot be a Christian and still put your money in a bank that a Christian started, et cetera, et cetera. So I think there are generalized principles that D1 points to. No, in the hood, you don't have to be a Christian to not want gunshots popping off on your block. Like prostitution to end, the strip clubs are shut down, and all because those things work against our collective human flourishing, which means you don't have to be a Christian to want that. My only little, I think one of the things that hurts.
Say it raw.
Take your hat off. Let the waves spin on the track. I think that's one of the things that makes it hard because he's promoting Christian morality to people who don't have a Christian faith.
Okay.
And so I think it goes but so far. In as much as somebody could say, I feel you. I got you. But what if a person is like, I feel you, but I'm going this direction. I'm still going to do what I'm going to do. Because again, underneath the hood, they don't have the heart of Christ motivating.
Well,
but it's not to diss them. It's just to say, I think his expectation of human flourishing and seeking the good of all people, regardless of their faith, is important. I'm just saying some of the friction sometimes comes from the fact that people don't share your worldview.
Yeah.
But he talks but he does talk like we're all accountable to God, but he also talks in a way that says you can submit to this worldview I'm laying out. And if people don't share it, then that's where some of the rub comes from.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Do you think in his message then,
is that bad? No, it's awesome.
If he just did his music and talk how he talked, but not pointing people out, you think that would come across better?
No, I think that hip hop as a culture is inherently confrontational. Meaning like it's always going to be a natural friction. I mean, and it's OG speak to this. You know, the fact that hip hop in itself was started, you know, with an urban resistance fight in New York, where people who were once fighting each other, gangs fighting each other. So instead of us battling in the streets, let's battle on this beat. Let's battle on wax. Let's battle on the breakdance. Let's battle in the DJ booth. You know what I mean? And so hip hop in itself is inherently confrontational. But I think one of the things that happens with D1 in particular, I think the confrontation is the confrontation of worldviews, how somebody sees the world. And that's what, for example, the clear way you saw that was with Jim Jones. But Jim Jones was like, I'm out here giving away turkeys. And I put, you don't know how many people I helped now. Don't tell me how to get my chicken, how to get my money. Like, don't tell, like basically he's saying, you can't judge me because look at all the good that I'm doing. And that's why D1 was like, yeah, but you give away 50 turkeys, but your song is going into 50 countries. Like, you know, so again, he's saying common grace. What you are after and about, like the things he's talking about in his music is going to go so much further than what the little bit of good you're doing here. So that's why I agree with him. I'm just saying sometimes it's like, yeah, I hear what you're saying, and it's important to hold people to standards. But I almost wonder sometimes if it's like, if some of the progress he would hope to see, you would almost have to have the same worldview as the person, so to speak. If that's from my perspective.
Yeah, I think that I feel you, and I feel you because I think at the end of the day, what's that verse? And I think Matthew or something is like, don't give pearls to the pigs and the canines, because you know what I'm saying. Like he's basically saying like everybody's not going to want to hear the gospel.
Yeah,
don't waste your time.
Sure,
you know, telling the gospel. Like if you give the gospel to somebody and they ain't trying to hear it, wash your hands, wash your feet, and then dust your feet.
Cut the dust off your feet.
Yeah. Right. And so, but I think it's still important to make that effort.
Right.
And so I think what you're saying is, yeah, everybody doesn't have that worldview. Cool. Yeah. I also think that that's why he's blown up in the way that he has, is because he's targeting the rappers, because he's targeting these people.
Yeah. And I think that's dope. I have no knock against that.
Yeah. And I think it's smart. I think it's going to cause friction.
Yes.
But I think that in the Bible it tells us like the path is narrow to righteousness, but
you know, find it.
right. And so what I'm saying is like, okay, it's going to rub people the wrong way.
Yeah.
Straight up.
So what I'm saying is more of this, what I just said a moment ago, is more of a reflection of the ultimate end. It's like, okay, yeah, I think what he's saying is dope. I do wonder sometimes if it's because people don't share the world. It's more like that than a knock against him.
Okay.
So I think what he's doing is dope. Like, like he has a song with a guy named Derek Minor, and it's Derek Minor, D1, and Lecrae, and the song is called "Dear Mr. Christian." It's on Derek Minor's album called Minorville, and in D1's verse, the chorus of the song says, "Dear Mr. Christian, I know you're on a mission. I know you say I need to change the way I'm living and stop sinning, but I appreciate it if you took some time to listen." So the chorus is like, listen to these people's stories, as you said.
Yeah.
You know, but in D1's verse, he's saying like, you think like, yeah, like you see me being all these a rapper and I'm doing all these things. He said, but you don't know, I grew up bummy. I saw my dad get killed in front of me. This is D1's verse. You know, I saw my dad get killed in front of me. He said, I'm getting jumped I'm getting jumped on a Monday, but I just prayed to God Sunday.
Yeah.
He said, and the end of the verse, he said, all I grew up with is struggle. Don't know no right. He said, all I grew up in was trouble. Don't know no role models. I knew the struggle.
Yeah.
But it goes back to that chorus, "Dear Mr. Christian." I know you on the minute. So again, I think the point he's making, even in the verse and by extension what he's doing publicly, is to say like, we need to understand everybody you talk to has a story. You cannot just come straight at people, you know, especially on the comment. You need to remember, like, tell me how you got to where you are. Like, tell me about your family background. Like, one of the questions we always ask people when they come to our house, especially with other Christians, exclusively when we're talking to other Christians, is tell us the story of how you came to know Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have a story, I have a story, you have a story. We have the same magnetizing gravitational center, but how we got there is so drastically different.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Outside of story, I think everybody has a testimony.
Yeah. That's my when I say story, I mean testimony.
Yeah, right. I got you.
Yeah.
So I think that's important to understanding where somebody's coming from, and somebody's testimony, somebody's story is so important, because I think when we go through life, when we go through our hardships, I think we talked about this last time, is you start isolating yourself, you start putting up walls between you and others. But when you hear somebody's story, it can pull you to them.
It can soften you to them.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I agree with that. Yeah.
So again, I appreciate him a ton. I guess that's my only
cool
reflection. It's more like it's more like if I'm enjoying the whole meal, if I had notes for the chef, it'd be more like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I feel that.
Yeah.
So I got one more question for you, Maurice. So where did we go for music? Because you got people saying rap is bad. They're talking about drugs, violence, sex.
Rap is beautiful. Hip hop is beautiful.
Also, you have people saying R&B is dead. And then also at the same time, like we was talking earlier, a lot of people don't like Christian rap.
Yeah.
And also in the church, you have people talking about CCM and old folk gospel, which is better. So where do we go with all this music?
Yeah, man, I think, if you're asking me directly, I think that conversation about the CCM, CCM is contemporary Christian music. Like groups like Hillsong, Maverick City, Elevation, stuff like group. I don't even know a whole bunch of these artists, but I think gospel music. Hopefully this does not sound like a hot take, but I didn't grow up with that. I grew up on R&B, soul, funk, jazz. Growing up in Philly, very soulful city. Man, I think I don't have a deep appreciation for gospel music experientially. Like I think it's certain songs I've heard that are dope, or that I appreciate. But I don't want to be one that makes it a wholesale statement that it's all good or it's all bad. Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, it's all I'm not one that says it's all good or it's all bad. But I do think that there's the thing I look for as a Christian from Christian music is I want to hear, if I'm listening to something called gospel, I want the gospel message in the music. Right. I don't just want stylistics. Give me the gospel. I need the gospel, dog. I mean, for example, people know Romans 1:16, right? When Paul says, for I'm unashamed of the gospel, for the gospel is the power of God for salvation for all who believe, to the Jew first and also to the Greek, right? But Paul says in Romans 1:15, he's like, I'm trying to go come to you in Rome to impart to you a spiritual gift, and that spiritual gift is the gospel. And so for me, when I listen to Christian music, that's what I want to hear. It doesn't mean every song has to sound the same. Be creative, be dope with your pen and your production, but I want to hear the gospel message or something that comports or connects to my worldview as a Christian. And so that goes what you were saying. I can't necessarily speak on the CCM thing. I do think it's interesting that so many churches kind of moved away from gospel music, but I think it's because the culture has shifted. You know what I mean? Just in general, not just musically, but people have shifted. And I think the Black church is a beautiful institution. It's accomplished a ton of good, but Black people as a people, we have changed. But usually when people think of Black Christians, they think of my man right here. Right? I mean, in terms of I'm talking about the aesthetic,
I got you.
How somebody presents themselves. They don't usually think earlier when we walked in, I said, I didn't know he was going to be dressed up. He said, I just came from church. I said, me too.
Right.
I literally wore this. This is how I normally dress, right? So again, but the difference is culture. We have connecting points because of hip hop. Right. But when we talk about church culture is we have a different culture. And so I think that when it comes to Christians in general, I think when people think about the Black community, and think about Black Christians in particular, they usually go back to suited and booted, dressed up, and there's nothing wrong with that. Praise God for that. It's dope. But they usually don't think they don't think hip hop. When hip hop is a a larger extension, a larger byproduct of Black culture than simply than what do you call it? Like simply than I lost my train of thought. Yeah, hip hop is a huge byproduct of Black culture.
I mean,
and so when we talk about like Black, like people who are growing up, I was born 88, born in 88, raised in the 90s, early 2000s, etc. My reference point, if I didn't already grow up in church, it won't be that. It won't be the suit. It'll be the urban aesthetic. And so I think that when we talk about like Christians, for me, here's how I navigate. I'd love to hear y'all navigate it. But when it comes to like music in general, bro, like I love soul, I love funk, I love jazz, I love hip hop. But the thing that I love about those things as a Christian, I want to enjoy something that doesn't clash with my worldview, but I want to enjoy something that also doesn't, either something that promotes my worldview or something that doesn't clash with it. Mm-hmm. So for example, I let my kids listen to hip hop, but it's the genre, not the message of like some of these other stuff. They listen to Christian hip hop and whatnot, right? But somebody said, what about secular music or quote unquote secular music? I'm like, everything, this is a thing I use when I'm teaching my kids. Not everything mature is profane.
Yeah.
Right? I'm married. I have my wife, we've been married 14 years. But if a love song is talking about love and it's talking about, relationships, my daughter's going to say, ew, this is corny. She's 10. I don't want to hear it. It's too lovey-dovey.
Right.
I wouldn't play it necessarily with me and my daughter in the car, depending on what the song is. Not something that's super forward, talking about sex and all that kind of stuff, like so directly. But if just because it's mature doesn't, it may not be for her, but it doesn't make it profane.
Sure. Right.
And I think a hip hop, for example, and this hopefully is the last thing I'll say about this, but I think hip hop in general, though, there's some things that I can endure that is mature that my wife can't.
Right.
Not because we have differently aligned consciences. Mm-hmm. There's some things that I can be like, I can listen to a Jay-Z song per se, at least older Jay.
Right.
Man, now he's cool.
Right,
but,
right.
Or I can listen to Blueprint, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now he's doing this stuff at the Yankee Stadium.
Right.
But I can listen to Blueprint, and as I listen to it now, as an adult, I hear it differently than I did when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like I did this, we were on a road trip coming back from somewhere, and my wife was like, you can listen to it. She fell asleep, and I threw on Eminem's, the Eminem Show. Mm-hmm. And listening to him as an adult, I was like, this dude's really hurt.
Yeah.
He's been through a lot of trauma. Like I work in the counseling field. So this dude's been through a lot of trauma. His family situation, family dynamic is this and that. So as I'm hearing it differently, though it's still hip hop, but I've matured. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? From when I was a kid. And so again, I think just because something's mature doesn't mean it's profane. And I want something that either promotes my worldview or doesn't necessarily clash with it. Right. Same thing applies to movies. Same thing applies to, other forms of media as well. You know what I mean?
So you rather participate in things that you can basically relate to.
Yeah, something that's like, I can dig this because it doesn't put my worldview in the garbage. So if I play, for example, he's not a Christian to my knowledge, but Common put this album out with Pete Rock. And I just happened to have it on playing it, and my daughter was gonna go to the grocery store, and this song came on. Now in the song, he wasn't cussing at all. Like he just was rapping. And my daughter was like, oh, who is this? And I said, this is a guy named Common. Do you have common sense? And I'm just joking with my daughter. Right. And she's listening. I said, I like that song. But in my mind, I didn't think, oh man, I shouldn't have played Common for my daughter. Right. It was like, it didn't clash with the worldview I was promoting to her, so she was able to accept it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't play Lil Wayne for my daughter,
right?
Though, because the same medium, hip hop, but his is profane.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and so I think that you have to have like some gradation of categories. I think as a Christian, lest you accept everything.
Yeah.
But you don't want to reject everything in the name of it has to only be about Jesus. Some people have that as a standard for themselves. Yeah. Amen. Yeah. That's dope. I don't have that kind of reference point because I'm trying to nuance culture as a participant because I'm a product of it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
yeah. I feel that, and to be clear, I'm not like it has to be Christian hip hop or it's nothing. But
no,
I would just say that I would just say, and I'm gonna answer Leon's question, even though he directed it at you.
Hey, bro. Go ahead, man.
We on the pot right now.
You might as well go ahead and put it in your
Let her bang.
Get yours, dog.
all y'all.
But nah, what he's saying, I think is like, what I would add to that is saying, like, listen, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be Jesus, 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 or you're going to hell. Like, sure. I don't necessarily, like, I don't think that's where it needs to go. But I think that it's kind of like eating. You tell somebody that's overweight, and it's like, well, it's not necessarily like you have to eat a piece of lettuce all the time, but maybe if you didn't eat McDonald's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner,
talk about
and
me,
then have taco. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sorry, bro. My bad. My bad.
Yeah, he judging me. I've been judged. I've been feeling judged, but now I know why.
I've been eating good. My wife been feeding me. I done put on about 20 pounds.
Hey, man, let her feed you, brother.
You know what I'm saying? But
don't let Brad judge you.
But what I'm saying is, I think that a lot of rap right now is like substitute meat, Taco Bell, 3 a.m.
It's garbage. Yeah.
Like, it's nothing it's not giving you any sustenance. It's not uplifting you in any way. It's definitely not good for you. So I would just say what I would want the direction to be, it doesn't have to be Jesus, Jesus, Jesus.
Yeah.
But I want less death, killing, drugs, and sex.
That's my point.
I think that's a direction that I would want.
Yeah, and I think hip hop is beautiful because there's so much variety.
Yeah.
Right? So the thing is, if somebody's going to spin that song, they're going to that because they want that.
Or that's their lifestyle.
Right. Or that's what's being laid out for them. Right. But the reality is there's so many different artists that are dope. If you listen to this, and it's promoted. The problem is it was promoted as what's popular. Sure. So it's like when you have flies outside your house, you throw that green light out there, it's going to attract people to it. And that's the problem with it. That's one of the main problems. It's like because it's so promoted in the culture everywhere, it's attracting people to it that otherwise we're like, man, I would be neutral, I would be against it, but it's so attractive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah. I feel like this, as far as I asked, like, one of the biggest selling things in this country. Do y'all know, like, one of the biggest selling things is?
Sex and war.
Exactly. So then that's what you hear in the music. They talk about sex and drugs and things like that because people are so accustomed to that. But if one of the biggest things was gospel, Christianity, things like that, and then you put out music about that, things would change. Yeah. And I think that's a big issue when you compare the two.
Yeah. One of my this comes to my mind. This is I'm gonna pull up the Bible.
Pull up that Bible.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, get
pull
yours,
up that
B.
Bible. Get that word.
Everybody stand to your feet.
Stand for the reading of God's word. This is the Lord say, ain't it? No. Right. No, but so this is Romans chapter 3, right? Where tell me if this doesn't describe hip hop to me, or to me it describes hip hop. Or better yet, the question is to the listener, what does this describe to you? Right? It says, what then? Are we Jews any better off? No, not at all. For we have already charged that both Jews and Greeks are under sin, as it is written. Now, what does this describe to you? What music genres come to your mind? Songs come to your mind when you hear this? And it isn't, I'm not picking on hip hop, it's just in your mind, if you're listening to this. None is righteous, no, not one. No one understands, no one seeks for God. All have turned aside. Together, they have become worthless. Let's listen to this description. No one does good, not even one. Their throat is an open grave. They use their tongues to deceive. The poison of vipers is under their lips. Their mouth is full of curses and bitterness. Their feet are swift to shed blood. In their paths are ruin and misery, and the way of peace they have not known. Bottom line, there is no fear of God before their eyes. So we think about like music, like I said before, I do believe in one sense it's a megaphone to the heart, because it takes what's in the heart. This is a description of the human heart, Romans chapter 3. And it takes that heart and it packages it and promotes it. Because Jesus said, out of the abundance of your heart, your mouth speaks. Right? So what's in you is going to come out of you. So I think people, if they're listening to Young Miami, no offense to her, personally,
all the offense. No.
All the I want that smoke. Yeah, but no, I think what we prize, we promote, right? And even if you're not, like you said, even if you're not really about that kind of life, because that kind of life, promoting that kind of life, is seen as the gateway to getting out of poverty or to success, you'll promote that too, even if that's not what you do. But again, it's because the human heart naturally craves these things. Yeah. So I think in the end, I don't think we're going to see a nationwide promotion of the Christian faith as a popularized music genre that everybody just enjoys, no matter how dope it is. Because the thing is, there's no fear of, the bottom line is no one fears God. And so to me, I think it could be, you can be independently dope. I'm just saying from my perspective, I think in step with scripture, you won't see this person that's super dope. You'll never see a Christian Jay-Z like on a level of Jay-Z, because he makes music and has made music for 30 plus years that promotes a very particular world.
Yeah, because I want to. You say that. I caught it too. Yeah.
I mean, I'll rewind a little bit because I think I heard you say that no one fears God.
The fear of God, meaning this right assessment, right view of who God is, a right evaluation of who God that made you, not you, not
I got you.
But like no one who doesn't know Him, and to fear God isn't simply to be afraid of God, right? The fear of God is more. It's not the kind of fear or phobia you would feel if you're looking at a spider in the corner,
right?
It's the kind of fear and right assessment of yourself and right assessment of God that you would get if you're standing on the precipice of the Grand Canyon. It's a right view of yourself. And so a right view of God that's informed by right view of self that's informed by right view of God. And so I think, as the scripture is saying, that the reality is people live their lives as an expression of what's going on in their hearts. And people in their hearts, apart from Christ, don't naturally rightly fear Him, or else they would not make us spin that. They're not. You can disagree, brother.
Yeah.
Amen, brother.
Go ahead.
I mean, if you have your belief and your faith into God and knowing what the things that God is able to do and or won't do, you know what I'm saying, and you are on a path to living the way that God sees it fit for you to live, you know that you're doing something wrong, or you know that there's things that you need to repent for or whatever. You're repenting for a reason.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You are in fear of what may happen or could happen to you if you're not following His word, His gospel, or the beliefs that you have for Him. He's your Father. You know?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
And another thing. But no, I would say this. I think like as a culture, I think that we've been a secular country for a long time.
What does the word secular mean?
I think that
in the way you're using it,
like avoid a Christian values,
living a worldly life,
right? Living a worldly life, right? Like we value materialism, these types of things.
Because classically, the term secular, this is not a semantic argument, but classically, the word secular simply means without God,
right?
But that doesn't in and of itself mean bad, because we were just talking about secular music that can go in step with a Christian worldview.
Sure.
Like when I listen to Luther, he's not going against my worldview, but he's a secular artist. Cool. He's not talking about God in his music.
Right.
That's why I said, what do you mean by that?
I just meant we live in a culture that values, we value materialism, we value sex, drugs, killing. Yes. Okay, that's
pimping, murder, sell drugs.
Yes.
That's
And so, but I think that was by far the most popular view for, I don't know, past 30, 40, 50 years, whatever, right? But I would say that there's a huge shift happening now where people can't afford to be Gucci down to the socks like I'm Big Papa. People can't hardly afford to feed their family of 4 if they go on vacation. So I think that there's a true hunger and a thirst for something that is more substantive than
I agree with
flash
that.
and material.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is I think it's a breeding ground for a Christian hip hop Jay-Z.
I'm just saying I'm saying this on a platform.
But
yeah.
But what I would say is like it might not happen how Jay-Z happened.
Sure.
But what I'm saying is,
do you think a Christian hip hop artist will ever sell out Yankee Stadium?
I think that I don't know.
Christian hip hop
artist, or a rapper that's a Christian, however you want to call it.
Hold on. It might not be Christian hip hop, but Forrest Frank is selling out arenas and stadiums right now in 2026.
I feel that.
And he's
Forrest Frank.
He's not hip hop, but he is a Christian artist.
Can you compare them?
What I'm saying is Christian.
We're just talking about CCM.
I'm talking about personally. I don't care. I don't care about the difference. I care about, are you promoting Christ?
I feel you. I'm with you.
So
I'm with you.
So what I'm saying is, it might not be Christian hip hop. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
I'll give you that.
Yeah, I think the answer is no.
I'll give you that. But I would say that, like, I think that society is thirsty for something more than I gotta spend a rack, or a girl's got to get a BBL, or this, that, and the third.
I agree with that.
I think that thirst is there, and I think that there are plenty of hard-hitting Christians that are like, I forget. Anyway, there's a bunch of hard-hitting Christians that are not sacrificing any morals, but they're blowing up on social media.
No. So I think so. Let me read the rest of this. Right, this is verse 19. Now we know that whatever the law says, it speaks to those who are under the law, meaning all people. So every mouth may be stopped, and the whole world will be held accountable to God. For by works of the law, obeying God's law, no human being will be justified in his sight, meaning seen as righteous in his sight, since through the law comes knowledge of sin. Now, the righteousness of God has been manifested, or it manifested apart from the law, although the law and the prophets bear witness to it, the righteousness of God through faith in Jesus Christ for all who believe. There is no distinction, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, and are justified are justified by his grace as a gift through the redemption that is in Christ Jesus, whom God put forth as a propitiation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the point Paul is making here, though, and in his chapters, to say all human beings on the planet are universally guilty before God.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. So when I say no, when the text says no one fears God, he's saying this highlights your need for what Jesus provides, because the fear of God would not, like, if you had a right assessment of who God is, you wouldn't do the, your heart wouldn't look the way that it does. Right. So God's divine gift is justification. That means God calling, counting people righteous on the basis of their faith in Christ. And so I think that for me, the reason why I say that we'll never have like a Christian Jay-Z isn't to say Christians will never can't sell records. Obviously, we know that's not true. My point is to say Christians have to have a right assessment of what success looks like in the culture, even if you never get super duper big, right? But there's still going to be a point where, like, there's people who are hungry for more positivity and all that kind of stuff. That's great. But someone can love positivity and don't care nothing about Jesus.
Yeah.
That's the conscious hip hop movement is largely a picture of that.
Yeah.
And so again, I'm not dissing nobody. I'm simply saying the Christian has to have a right assessment of what, and of themselves, of their craft. Be dope at your craft. But at the same time, there's going to be certain elements of you, Christians involved in any kind of media. If you're promoting a Christian, like not simply a Christian worldview, but a Christian message, people will accept your music. But the moment you start getting real particular, then you're going to get a side.
Cool.
Yeah.
I want to change my answer from no to a yes, and only because of this. But listen.
Let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up.
He made you change your answer. That's right.
No, I'm saying yes. There can be a Christian.
No, he's saying yes, there can be a Christian.
Yeah. But and here's why. I think that as Jay-Z, or was that said, hip hop is dead.
I believe that's true though.
But what I'm saying is it's no longer, for the first time, I think in 40 years, hip hop was not on the top charting side. So what I'm saying is, I think
which
that
is interesting in itself. Yeah.
Right. But I think that there was a growing distaste of what was constantly being pushed down everybody's throats.
Yeah.
There's a real strong, like, nah, I'm not with all
I'm
that.
with you. Yeah.
So, but what I'm saying is, I think that, like, just how with backpack rap, conscious rap, it was a counterculture message delivered by somebody that's the right messenger.
Sure.
I think that,
and timing matters too.
Right. And I think that this is the perfect time for it. Like, I'm not necessarily saying like, No Big Deal. He's a huge Christian artist that's hard hitting raps, like bars, lyrics, like has it all, and has a massive following.
So I guess when I say like sell, because I feel like what you're bringing up is the nuances I'm not. That underneath my point is to say Christians do sell. I know a bunch of artists. I know a bunch of like these rappers I'm talking about personally, and people do, like, people come to the shows. Like, I mean, again, my point is to say not that Christians won't sell records. That was not what I was saying. I'm saying on a public appeal basis, where now the face of hip hop that shapes culture, like a Jay-Z shapes culture, is not going to be the Christian voice is not going to be the dominant voice, because the Christian and just generally statistically speaking, you can have a lot of people who say they're Christians just on the surface who actually don't know Jesus at all. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that if we're going to put a Christian artist, not that they should ever try to ascribe to be Jay-Z, I'm just using him because he's doing this thing in New York. The Christian message will never truly be the mainstream message across the huge banner. I'm saying it's true. I'm a Christian. Absolutely true. I guess what I'm trying to say, there's going to be, you get very particular, you will be rejected. Now, there's always going to be an indie of the major. So No Big Deal, Indie Tribe, my man KB, Lecrae and them, dope. I'm just saying, they are in a category unto themselves, which is why they have the ability to kind of shift things, but they are still going to be, there's not a widespread movement.
Yeah.
Which is why usually you see one or a few of those guys kind of setting themselves apart, but that doesn't have to be that way. Which is why Lecrae, for example, I mentioned him because he has sold a ton of records over the years. And so he sold a ton, but do you know about Lecrae before he's transitioned? He was his first three or four albums, especially first three. What was it? Real Talk, his first joint. Second one, After the Music Stops, was about discipleship. You know, what happens, you know.
How long has Lecrae been doing?
He's been around for a long time.
I do it.
Then Rebel.
I found out about him, believe it or not, through Leon. We worked.
That's what's up.
Years ago, and I never listened to any gospel rap. I think the first time I listened to gospel rap was through Leon, and Lecrae was the first. Am I right?
I can't remember.
He gave me a CD, and it was amazing.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, these artists are. I am a huge fan of Christians doing hip hop, but be dope. One, two, but be Christian. And so I guess what I'm trying to say to wrap up my point is the things you're saying are undertones that really largely depend on the sovereignty of God, right? And so I'm not saying we don't, like, Christians can't sell records. Obviously they can, they do. I am saying though that the public face swaying culture in mainly mainstream hip hop culture is not going to be the Christian artist.
Okay.
I'm saying the Christian can do some dope stuff.
Yeah.
Like my man KB, he does huge arenas, but he largely does festivals and Christian events. Again, they sell. I'm just saying, shaping the face of hip hop culture, I just don't see it because of the Christian message.
Cool. And it's all respectful disagreement.
If we even disagree, we probably disagree more on the implication of what I'm saying,
right? But
not the larger point.
My last pushback would be my grandmother's 93.
Yeah.
When she was early teens, 20s, 30s, Christianity was everywhere. That was the mainstream. Was a everybody went to church. Every all of her siblings, they all grew up in church, and obviously I'm speaking in generalities. There's nuance, but I'm saying Christianity was mainstream. It was very much mainstream.
We could talk off the mic,
and I think that there's something like a revival happening. Maybe I'm a half full guy. I'll be that glass half full, but
whoa. To say you're half full means I'm saying you think I'm half empty.
I'm just saying I'm optimistic.
No, I'm optimistic as well. I just think that there's an implication that there's a very real side of this where, like, if anyone wants to live a godly life, they will face persecution.
Yeah.
And I'm saying you can be as cunning and as dope and as like skillful artistically as you want, but you will not get around what Jesus actually said. You can't. And Jesus said, if anyone wants to follow me, they must take up their cross, which is an instrument of death, like, and follow me, right? Not only that, but he says, if men hate the master, they're going to hate you too.
Yeah.
And so hate isn't simply lowly tolerate. Jesus was a friend of sinners. Yes, that is true. But it's also sinners who put Jesus to the cross.
I heard you speak about hate, and all I know is that hate is a virus.
I see that right there. So that was a real smooth. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that there is a very real cost to discipleship that I think we can't sidestep by being smooth with it. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
And so I think if you're going to be a Christian in any space, you have to know how to navigate that wisely, right? And so there's going to be some things that you can do and some things you can't do as you're trying to navigate culture. You know, I think we all have to do that, right? Like, when I go into a store, I'm not, and it's summertime and they say it's sundress season, I have to be skillful about how I navigate that. Like, do I just not go to the store? No, I'm going to go to the store, but I have to have a very particular focus while I'm here, lest the culture we're in pull my attention elsewhere.
Well, that's what I spoke about earlier about us being men. Having self-control.
Right. But I also think too, like God in his grace has given the Christian a tremendous gift, the local church. And I think that we have, and I'm glad that's why I'm encouraged by this conversation. Because even if we disagree here and there, largely it's like, no, I feel you. Like,
that's right.
We are like-minded. We are coming to the conversation. Our nuance might be a little different, and even me saying, like, I don't think I will see that. I'm not saying because I think Christians cannot be as dope to get there popularity-wise. But I am saying in order to do that, that's why I said we could probably talk offline. I think in order to get to a certain degree of popularity, you're going to have to switch up. Because to be mainstream, you're going to have to let some things go. One we keep mentioning as an example is Lecrae. He did that.
Well, what do you think that can happen, for example, Lecrae, for him to be a top Jay-Z artist?
Popularity wise.
Yeah, popularity wise.
Yeah, I think popularity is fickle in the sense that it's subjective who, where. But I think Lecrae, for example, and I'm not dissing him. Praise God for that. That's a dope brother. But I guess what I'm trying to say.
Now look at the camera and tell
Hey, I'm not dissing you. But I am saying that Lecrae has even had to, if you listen to his first couple albums, he and the community he was around at that time, he was very much so very, very explicit about the Christian message. Like he has a song where he says, Lord, kill me if I don't preach the gospel still in my 20s, but I'll die if I got to. Yeah, I'm already dead, et cetera, et cetera. But again, he has songs. Like his first
I know you know all the songs.
I'm a student of hip hop. I became a Christian. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But I became a Christian. I became a Christian in high school, and so my entry point into Christian hip hop is very formative for me. And so, in a real way, it's kind of been like a catechism for me because it's given me categories, and it's also helped me to depending on who the artist I'm talking about. All that to say, Lecrae, when he got mainstream, he had to shift.
I see what you're saying.
He shifted from being so explicitly Christian because people would hear he said this. People would hear his music and immediately say, "Oh, you're a Christian rapper? terrible before they even hear the music.
Yeah.
So he had to shift his content and his public perception so that he could become more mainstream. So I'm saying that what he does now, I'm not saying it's whack.
Right.
I'm just saying if he ever tried to go back to where he was before, he will lose some ground.
But I hear you say before, so that the time has passed. Wouldn't you say, I wouldn't say shifted, but growth?
Yeah, I mean, growth in one's, it depends on what you mean by that. Like, I think you can grow artistically as an artist, like grow in your skill. Like, if I'm a painter, I could be a better painter.
So are you saying Lecrae's message is different now?
Yeah, it's different than it was. I think he has kind of pivoted
because
now.
he didn't want people to know that he's just a Christian rapper, because they wouldn't give him
the opportunity. Right. And I'm saying, in and of itself, somebody might say, "Oh man, like you didn't have to do that." Like they're attracted to you because you were selling a whole lot at a time. I'm not saying when I say he shifted, I mean his content shifted from this to this. And that doesn't mean bad.
More recognition, more sales.
But I'm saying the more explicitly Christian gospel-centered Christian focus in his music, there was no way he was going to end up on Breakfast Club with that.
Right.
I'm saying he shifted to be what he is now. And now he actually said, like, in me shifting to me being where I am now, there was a lot of things I had to wrestle through, which is a lot of what he talks about now.
So do you feel that he should have shifted? Was that a right move for him?
From my perspective, I don't think so. I think it would have been dope for him, for the culture to see, as you're talking about, super dope Christian artists, like skillful, artistic, can rhyming about the Lord, and you didn't need to. I don't think he needed to shift.
But as you said, that would have still made things harder for him.
Right. So I think you got to bear that personally. I think you got to be all right with that. But at the same time, Lecrae has the freedom, because I think there's a whole category we're not talking about.
I think he should have linked up with D1.
I think there's a whole gang of haters. I think there's a whole category for what we're talking about, which is Christian liberty. Right. People are like, it's not a sin to be stylish. It's not a sin to have Jordans. It's not a sin to have your kicks. So you have the freedom to decide. You know what I mean? Like how you want to move and make what decisions you want to make. It's not sin. Some things are a matter of what are your aims? Like, what are you after? You know what I'm saying? And I think the thing is, some people in the mainstream view Christian media or Christian art or whatever as whack because they only saw the whack. But some people view it as whack because of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's not always an artistic presentation. Sometimes it's like, what are you talking about that? I remember when I was rhyming, people will always say, you would be dope if you didn't talk about that Christian stuff. I'm saying it's the Christian stuff that is in it to me, like I'm reminded of what Paul said in 1 Corinthians. He's like, to us, it's the aroma of life. But to them, it's the stench of death.
Yeah.
And so I think to them meaning the unbeliever.
Right.
And when Paul says, like, I'm in 1 Corinthians, he's talking about a dude, this classic case where he's telling the church to discipline this dude that has his father's wife. And he says, I've already come to a decision. I already had own judgment, but you need to act. He says, don't even eat with such a one that's using the name brother or Christian, and they're wilding out.
Yeah.
He says, I'm not talking about the wicked of this world, because you would have to go out of the world. I mean, you have to literally die or go off the planet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's saying if a person is claiming the name brother, but they're living a life that actually totally contradicts what they proclaim, don't associate, because they're going to mix you too. They're going to think the Christian faith is about these other things too. What if Young Miami came out and said, yeah, but I'm a Christian though?
Right.
You'll be like, nah, like you have reason to question that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm saying from the opposite end, the Christian who makes music, makes art, if you will, and Christian artists will naturally lose some appeal the more explicitly Christian they are. And I'm saying if you're going to communicate from a Christian worldview in hip hop, because of the nature of hip hop, you can, and your liberty as a Christian, those things coupled together is why you have an Andy Mineo. Is why you have a No Big Deal. Is why you have a Miles Minnick. Is why you have a whoever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you start talking very, very explicitly, like the passage I read, Romans 3, you were like, whoa, that's going to be what you see in hip hop.
Okay.
The more explicit that you
I
want.
promise. Last thing for real.
Yeah, because I gotta
go.
Yeah. Same.
I'll play it, but
They can go. I'll stay here by myself.
It's gonna be a monologue. With these brothers, man. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
The word from the OG. Like, you know how back in the day, my man Jerry Springer, he would have the craziest stuff on the show.
Right. And then
I gotta do a monologue.
Yeah.
Let me tell y'all. These
So I'm gonna give Red that out.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Red get it.
We all focus on you.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Yes.
Yeah, so I forgot. I forgot. But I think that there's something that's like in hip hop when whatever new artist came out with something that was like different, it caught everybody's ear. And it used to be based, a lot of it was negativity and things, but you still had the KRS ones and the other MCs that had like a super dope but positive sound. Yeah. And I think that that ear for, I want something different. I want something different. I think that I'm not predicting which artist that will be, and I don't care if they reach Jay-Z level. What I'm saying is
that was only an analogy.
Cool. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Right. But what I'm saying is, as far as mainstream, meaning a huge population, more than just a subgenre. Yeah. I'm saying that I think that people want to hear something that is different. And I think that a Christian artist, the Christian worldview is against killing, stealing, and destroying. The Christian worldview is against it. Does it mean that you have to face yourself? Yeah. But there's been plenty of artists that were calling people out. Right? Like, you could look at Brenda's Got a Baby and be like,
then hit him up.
But what I'm saying is like that's highlighting a culture, speaking on it, not necessarily condone it. But what I'm saying is I think that there's a real desire to hear something clearly. And I think the message and the morals, which we can talk about some other time, come from Christianity. Good and evil, right and wrong comes from Christianity. I'll stand on that. But
yeah, I agree with that.
I think that people are tired of evil. We live in a broken. Hold on. We live in a broken world. We will always live until Christ comes back. Until Christ comes back, we will always live in a broken world.
That's the point I was trying to say. But reading that passage is to say people want this.
Yeah, but I think
because of what's in them.
Yeah, but I think that there's a much larger than ever audience thirsty for the messaging that comes from a Christian hip hop.
So now would be the perfect time.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that has always the conscious element that you talk about. Because it was funny, what we call conscious once was mainstream in hip hop. Was cool. Like you always had artists that was trying to like move to the cusp because people can live real lives, right? So you always had the artists that were trying to like bring some element of what was going on in the street into the music. I mean, broken glass everywhere. You know what I mean? People pissing in the hall with it. Just don't care. Like, but he was describing the hood versus glorifying the things that are going on.
Shout out to D1, that's what he be saying.
Yeah, so I think
D1, don't glorify.
You need to come get in the red seat. You know, take my seat. But no,
you know to keep me out.
No. I
come in with him, brother.
Right. But I guess that's my point. I think that the conscious quote unquote element of hip hop has always been there and will always be there. But I don't think the mainstream. For example, I think you got a guy like J. Cole, right? J. Cole. You got Cole. Yeah, Cole's nice.
J. Cole the best.
Yeah. So you got Jay
2-6.
So you got Cole on this one end of the spectrum, who does a Dreamville in Raleigh and like fills that joint out, but he has a bunch of different artists too. But Cole's on tour too. Yeah. His tickets are selling out too. You know what I mean?
Like, he just left Charlotte, right?
Right. I guess my point is like there's an audience for everything. I'm just saying, so when we say that, I think we're using the same language, but we're probably meaning different things or have different things in mind, right? And so when I say Christian hip hop, I'm not asking. I'm saying what does a person mean when they hear, and they think, what comes to the mind? What artist comes to your mind when you hear Christian hip hop? And I think for me, if I'm talking about my man Shai Lynn, the guy that I've been quoting,
I never heard of him, bro. I don't know.
We definitely gonna listen to him after we leave here.
I guess what I'm trying to say, like, if there's certain artists that come to mind that won't become that, right. But that just goes to show how widespread hip hop is, even Christian hip hop is a subcategory. Yeah. And so I think you have there's no rubric for how you need to sound. You have the freedom and liberty to sound like to communicate the Christian worldview in any kind of way that you want. I think this, for example, I think of some artists who think of it like this, like, yo, people are living, dying, and apart from Christ, dying and going to hell. So because of the human emergency of that, they would say what is the best way to address the human emergency of people living, dying, standing before God in judgment and going to hell. Mm-hmm. The best way to engage that emergency is to be super explicit about how people can actually come to know Christ. And so because of that, an artist like that who's being super explicit, like my man Shai, like the Sixth Sense, you don't even know that you dead. Like those type of things, those kind of themes, because of the human emergency, there's going to be some artists who get on that, like KB, my man KB. I don't know if you know about KB.
Yeah, I heard him.
KB, maybe No Big Deal, etc. Some of these artists, they own that. They're trying to do that, but they're doing it in a different kind of I'm not saying it's a one-track way of how to do that. Now, somebody else, when they hear Christian, that's Christian hip-hop, right? Legitimately. Yeah. And somebody else may hear Christian hip-hop and think of a No Big Deal. And somebody else may hear Christian hip-hop and think about Lecrae. There's so many different, because we're using the same language, the same words, we could easily be talking past each other when in reality we're actually in agreement.
Yeah, I think you're saying Christian hip-hop is the bar for bar, every bar you're spitting something that could be that's like, hey, conviction, here's what you're dead in your sin, right?
But I'm saying it's not only that though. Yep. And so that's why when we're talking, I'm saying this, and you can say, nah, I don't agree with that because you're thinking this, but we're using the same words.
Yeah. So to clarify, what I'm saying, Christian hip hop, if you are rapping,
right,
and people sing and it's melodic rap and all this. If you are doing something of that category, directing people to Jesus, whether it's every bar or the messaging behind Christianity, to me, as somebody new and not nuanced into the Christian hip hop world, clearly I have not done my homework like you. All right,
bro.
But to me, what I'm saying is, if somebody's pointing you to Christ, and they're doing it with bars, Christian hip hop,
right?
That's all I'm saying.
That's why I said I think it depends on your aim.
Lean into the mic or put the mic.
That's why I said I think it depends on your aim and what your intended goal is, right? Like my man, I'm not gonna say his name. You know. He says
this podcast is sponsored.
Yeah, he has this line that I think is beautiful. He said, "I'm trying to produce works that outlive me, so God can use my pen to save when I'm in the grave." Like, so that people went long after I'm dead and gone. The things that I'm leaving behind that's explicit, that's pointing to the need for salvation and how Christ is sufficient and all these different things, even using your own story of how you coming from a single parent home, except all those type of things. I think because of how fast music is consumed, the poppy, showy, all that kind of stuff is a part of hip hop. The fun stuff is great. I guess I'm more a fan of what Shai is saying.
Sure.
And because of that, I think that kind of thing won't ever become super mainstream.
Sure. And I can agree with that.
Exactly. And so because of that, there's other artists that are like not on the same type of time as him, but at the same time, they're communicating in a way that is produce thought, rhymes, dope bars from the worldview of I'm a Christian. This is what I'm saying about this.
Yeah.
But I think that's gonna have a rub, right?
Sure.
For example, you see there's a current beef, if you will, between Talib Kweli and this dude named Dayton, who's a Christian rapper.
Yeah, he's hard too.
Dayton is nice, super nice. Yeah. The thing is, though, Talib Kweli is like the Christian faith is a colonizing faith. It's this and this and this. And he's dissing it, but he's also dissing Dayton.
Yeah.
I'm saying if you're on Dayton's type of time, and you got Talib Kweli, who is a conscious hip-hop OG, so to speak, those two will always be oil and water. And I'm saying you got to be, I think from the Christian perspective, you got to be okay with that. You got to be okay with the fact that people will see you and immediately put you in this category of, are you a MAGA rapper? Yeah. It's like, no, there are like you sent me somebody. There are certain artists that are on that MAGA, Trumpism. Yeah. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm saying, but some people will, because you're a Christian, automatically put you in that category. And I'm saying, I reject the category entirely. However, I'm okay with being put to the side from the culture as a Christian. Like there's a quote from my man Charles Spurgeon. He said, he's an old preacher. He's long dead. He said, I'm okay. He said, I'm okay. I'm paraphrasing. He says, I'm okay if the world frowns as long as God smiles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like there's going to be some things like the world is just not going to applaud it. I'm all right with that as long as God is pleased with what I'm doing.
I hear what you're saying. I think you're saying like that style of rapping about Jesus won't be mainstream.
Yes.
That I can agree with.
But there's going to be other expressions that are
style
mainstream.
of rap
that
is mainstream, that is talking about Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
But
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we here. Yeah. But while you were talking, I'm not going to lie. When you talk about your man, Charlie. It reminds me.
I should have never said his name.
It reminds me of that.
You of D1. I'm in the middle of this.
There's a video of this dude, this Chief Keef, you know what I'm talking about?
I know Chief Keef is.
It's old viral video. He's like, you don't even know Chief Keef. Like, he's crying in tears defending Chief Keef. You know what I'm saying?
They won't see me doing that.
You're right. I respect it. Charlene, I'm going to look you up after this.
Hey, listen, we end this, Leon, end it with one of DMX prayers, man.
Yeah.
I do that.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a great conversation. Yeah. Look, if you watch this episode, put your comments in the chat. Let us know what you think about this conversation, your thoughts and your opinions. Hit us up. Look, we never thought that hip hop would go this far.
Come on.
We didn't think it would.
Hip hop is beautiful, man.
But also, let us know, when was the first time you fell in love with hip hop?
Yeah, hey, that's the question.
Yeah, there you have it. It's over.
Yeah.
It's a wrap for another episode of Forward Social Conversations, where we talk about a lot of things, but not everything, because everything don't need to be talked about. Peace.